Gets it done. Good morning, guys. Jumped the gun there on the first half. Wish I didn't do that. Got a little greedy. But it is what it is. Maryland gets it done there in the second half. Just willed their way to a victory, grinded it out. Not a pretty game. But if you watch the game, the thing that you got to be the most impressed about is that Maryland's defense was there the whole game. The shots, they didn't score a lot of points. In the first half, it was kind of a little sloppy. Took them a while to get started. But I thought overall they forced tough shots for Wisconsin, and eventually they made enough plays there in the second half. So Reese was the catalyst in the first half, and it was really awesome to see. Even though it was just one shot each, big threes from Gapar and Deshaun Harris Smith. Each of them played a few more minutes than they have in the past couple of games. Miguel was great. Rice stayed hot. Miguel made a couple really, really big shots. Gillespie, not his best game by any stretch, right? But it's almost like when things are going the right way, you can just tell. And for Maryland, the past four games, things have just been going the right way. And they banked the three in there, Gillespie, to kind of ice it. That made it 65-58. And after that, it was basically a free throw shooting contest down the stretch. Maryland made enough of them, and they get it done. So great win. Super happy about it. They cover the spread. Kind of interesting that Wisconsin, was 85% from the free throw line. I heard that during the, I was like, could not, I thought it was like like I heard that wrong or something. They were 3 for 7 at one point yesterday. They finished 15 for 21. But they're 85% as a team from the free throw line, which is just amazing. But yeah, anyway, Wisconsin's solid team. Probably the type of team that can lose in the first round or, maybe win that first round game as an 8-9 seed. They're just not great. My analysis of them going into the game kind of bared out where they're okay. They don't make too many mistakes. They don't really beat themselves. What they have 10 turnovers yesterday. Maryland only had 8. It's a fairly well played game. Not a ton of shots going in. Legs really weren't there for Maryland to start the game, which I thought they'd be there, but they just weren't. Queen was slow. He's got to get in better shape. I know I keep saying it, but he's got to get in better shape. Maryland's off here for a week, right? They don't play Ohio State until next week. But yeah, Maryland gets it done. Great game as far as just doing what you need to do. They'll now be ranked when the rankings come out. They're probably projected to be a 5 or 6 seed, and they have the ceiling of getting all the way to a 2 or 3 if they just keep winning. That's where we're at. Yeah, a lot of SEC teams are really good, so they'll beat each other up. And the Big Ten is right there for Maryland to take. No reason why they can't win the Big Ten. They've went to Purdue, they went to Oregon, they came up short, but I really enjoy this team. One of the things that jumped out to me yesterday is just they make the extra pass. There's certain things you can just tell when you're watching a basketball game, even at any level, where the team likes each other, and the extra pass is a critical thing. Because if guys, Deshaun Harris Smith made one after he made his three extra pass, I believe it was to Miguel in the corner, Miguel or Rice, one of them, and it was a big three. Maryland hit a lot of them. They were 12 for 24 yesterday. Felt like all their big threes just went in down the stretch. It's a great win for Maryland, and yeah, so I'm gonna have a few more college basketball bets out for Saturday. We'll see if there's anything tonight or tomorrow that I love, but there's a few games on Saturday that I already like, so looking forward to that. Wanted to spend just a couple minutes. I'm going to do a pod longer on the NFL with Jay Martin Clayton here early next week, but just give my quick 2 cents. And just one thing that kind of jumped out at me with these NFL coaching hires and the process of it that I just thought was pretty interesting when you think about well-run organizations. And it was just a way for me to be happy about the Ravens. So I'll get to that last. But Bears get Ben Johnson. I don't think this is not relevant to me. The Bears feel like maybe they make the wild card next year. Maybe they don't. I don't like this. I think they need a strong, proven leader. I would have gotten Pete Carroll, or I would have gotten somebody Vrabel. I would not have gotten a first-year head coach who Caleb Williams is still the alpha in the room. I don't like that. I don't know if Ben Johnson's a genius or not. I think that word is used fairly too often when it comes to NFL offensive coordinators. I mean, he's good. The Lions have a really good team. I don't know how great he would be if he was the offensive coordinator of, the Titans this year. So to just give him the job, I'm not sure about it. The Bears to me are just irrelevant. The division's too good. The Packers will be better next year. The Lions will be just as good. The Vikings should be really good. I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Didn't move the needle for me. The Raiders get Pete Carroll. It's irrelevant and kind of cool at the same time, meaning like the Raiders aren't going to, they're in the toughest division probably besides the North, depending on how the Browns get themselves together. But the AFC West is loaded. Bo Nix, Herbert, Mahomes. So I don't think it really mattered who they hired. I don't know who's going to be their quarterback. I don't really know what the game plan is over there. I think it's a good hire. I think it's like pretty cool that he's coming back to coach, especially for older folks that are sick of ageism and telling old people they can't do things. I think it's pretty neat that he's in his 70s. So he's going to be the head coach of the Raiders. It's in Vegas. Um, used to live out there coaching USC. So I think it's a good fit. They have Brock Bowers. They don't really have a tremendous amount else going for them. They got Max Crosby on defense, but they also were really poorly coached. So it'll be interesting. They'll probably beat a couple good teams next year. Could be a frisky wild card team, but can't really compete for the title. When I say irrelevant, I'm looking to see if there was like a Dan Quinn hire where this Washington team could burst onto the scene like it did. Maybe it's the Patriots. I think the AFC East is going to be ripe for the taking. The Bills have another tough loss. It's just tough to lose again. They've been dominating that division. The Dolphins are somewhat in flux, lacking of identity. Tyreek Hill, not super excited to be there. Tua, and then I get to the Jets in a second, but Vrabel was the best coach. He was the best coach to hire last year. He's the best coach to hire this year. Those Titans teams were, I mean, just look at what happened without him. I think Vrabel will do a great job. I think Drake May's really good. Been high on him ever since I saw him. I think the Patriots are viable. The organization is what it is. You don't have to like it. I don't think anybody here listening does, but Vrabel was the right hire. They'll probably draft a couple good defensive players. They weren't bad anyway. It'd be interesting to see who they let run the offense and who they can add because they have all the money. But the Patriots, to me, would be the best bet as far as a team that goes from worst to winning a playoff game. The Jets get Aaron Glenn, and it's just a disaster in New York. I don't think it mattered. I mean, I think the coaching search was a disaster, but to bring in Aaron Glenn is like, I'm not trying to be, I don't want to be mean, but like, didn't Washington just score like 100 points against them? Didn't he have a week to prepare? Weren't guys just like wide open? Like, why would he be the head coach? Like, how simple minded could you be to just be like, all right, who's the best team in the NFL? Let's get their defensive coordinator. I just don't like it at all. I don't understand it, really. I would have brought in somebody that has coached before. Like, what are they doing? Are they just going to start over? Like, does he even know football? Like, I'm really not trying to be a jerk, but like his defenses aren't very good. Like, I don't really know what the buzz is about the Lions defense. Um, I don't know what he couldn't make any adjustments against Washington in the biggest game of his life. What they do last year against the Niners, I don't know if the defense was on fire. I mean, he's not bad. Like, I'm sure he's a good defensive coordinator, but to be the head coach of the team, Aaron Glenn, I was just like, wow. Anyway, that's the Jets. I don't know what they're supposed to do. They got to figure out the Rodgers situation before they do anything else. The Cowboys go with Brian Schottenheimer. Um, so Brian Schottenheimer is the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and now he gets hired as the head coach, which would have been fine if you just would have hired him instead of seemingly like he's like your last resort and you have no idea what you're doing in Dallas. I guess he has the best relationship with Dak Prescott, and that's what it comes down to. He has the best relationship with Prescott, and he's kind of like a Jason Garrett where he won't have too much personality or cachet. So Jerry Jones gets credit for it if the Cowboys win. It's hard for me to really think the Cowboys are going to be good next year, just because it's chaotic. But I thought that way about Philadelphia, and they figured it out. So who knows? Dak's, I don't know. I got to see it. They've been really good for 4 or 5 years in a row. And then finally, they just could never get over the hump. Then he gets hurt. They were bad before he got hurt. They give him the job. I guess they just believe they can reload on offense and they'll be really good with him calling the shots. And McCarthy was more expensive. I don't know why you don't just bring McCarthy back. I don't know. Cowboys played pretty good down the stretch. Seems kind of strange. Saints are going to go with most likely Kellen Moore. That's why they haven't hired anybody. He's the coordinator for the Eagles. Um, Whatever. It's irrelevant. The Saints suck. They have a horrible cap situation, and they're by all reports, rolling back with Derek Carr, so that can't equal playoff success. All right, I say all that because I wanted to get to the Jaguars. Fascinating, just to me, it's fascinating. I don't know if everybody else thinks it's fascinating, but the owner of the Jags, Shad Khan, has got plenty of money, and he's trying. By all accounts, he's trying. He brought in Urban Meyer, that didn't work out. He pivoted right away. Brought in Doug Peterson, that did work out briefly, and then it didn't. And he's got Trent Baalke, or he had Trent Baalke. We'll get to that in a second to run the team, general manager who built the Niners somewhat with Harbaugh and hasn't had much success since, but whatever, at least had a track record. So he's trying. But he also has this element where his son gets to make a lot of decisions as well, which I'm not against. I talked about Bronny yesterday. I think it's just weak when you automatically, don't give the son any credit and you just kind of pick on him. That's just not very fair. I think people that make money on their own and make their own name for themselves tend to look down on, nepotism or folks that get a leg up or whatever you want to say. I get that, that makes sense to me, but at the same time, it's not their fault. So, got to give each situation needs to be evaluated for itself. And in the Jacksonville situation, I mean, hell, if you own a team, yeah, it's pretty cool to let your son run the team to some extent. Um, However, it doesn't seem like Jacksonville knows exactly what they're doing, or they know exactly what they're doing. I can't really figure it out because what happened with their hiring situation just is laughable to me. So Trent Baalke's the general manager. They decided to retain him. They fired Doug Peterson, kept Trent Baalke. Bring in Liam Cohen, who was the offensive coordinator for the Bucks, and say, "Hey, you want to be the head coach?" Comes in, listens to him. He's like, "Oh, you got Trevor Lawrence? That sounds fun. All right, great. One problem. I don't want to be here if Trent Baalke's the general manager." They're like, "Okay, we'll talk to you soon." The Bucks are like, "Hey, we'll give you the most money." This is all according CBS Sports. It's not widely reported here, but anyway, Liam Cohen, the offense coordinator of the Bucks, then is offered by Tampa, who knows he goes for the head, knows the whole situation. Says, "Hey, listen, don't go to Jacksonville. Better over here in Tampa. Better weather. It's more fun. We'll win. Here's more money. How's that sound? We'll make you the highest paid offensive coordinator. But you're not allowed to interview with Jacksonville a second time. Take the offer." Kind of reminds me of like a Mark Cuban on Shark Tank, if you've ever watched that, where he like will make an offer and then say you have to accept it right now. You can't listen to these other people. I don't like Mark Cuban, by the way, but anyway, that's what it reminded me of. So Liam Cohen goes Tampa, according to the article, just like does not respond to them and works back channels with Jacksonville to say, "Hey, I'll be the coach here if you fire Baalke." The Khans, father, son, whoever's making the exact final decision over there is like, "That's what it takes to do it." Presumably, they already knew that, right? Like, or they could have just hired him right then and there. Was Baalke in the room when they interviewed him? It's just a funny situation to think about that. Like, Baalke's in there, the owner's in there, he's leading the hiring search. They're like, "All right, we'll bring you in." The guy's like, "All right, great," except I don't want my boss who I don't want who's supposed to be my boss to be my boss. They're like, "Wait, what?" He's the one that is high. Anyway, Liam Cohen gets his way because Jacksonville fires Baalke, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. The head coach of Jacksonville is Liam Cohen, and it's just kind of funny to me that Jacksonville doesn't really know exactly what they're doing. Just no idea. And that's just that. So uh, makes you think that yeah, it would be nice if the Ravens would win. It'd be nice if we won 6 Super Bowls by now. It'd be nice if we won every single year. But at the end of the day, it's really nice that we have an organization of competent people starting with the owner that you never really heard from for a minute as he got frustrated about the Lamar situation, as that boiled over. But that was basically it. Bisciotti said, "I'm going to own my favorite." Probably is really cool to own an NFL team and then just get out of the way, pay somebody. DeCosta's been here forever, right? So he runs the team. He's invested in the team. Nothing gets by him. No rules get by him. Yeah, he'll miss a draft pick, but very rarely does he miss on a draft. I don't know what draft you would point to be like, man, that draft sucked. It's just consistent all the way around. The coaches, they just hired Pagano. They brought in Pease. They're always trying to fix it, and other teams are trying sometimes to be the smartest in the room. Harbaugh's not my favorite. He's never really been my favorite, but that's also because I don't know him. His communication skills are what they are. I don't know if people would like me if I was the head coach based on just listening to me in public. But DeCosta and the way the organization's run, it is fantastic. And Harbaugh does get a lot of credit. He's been here forever. They have only had three coaches, right? It's Marchibroda, Billick, and then Harbaugh. So it's pretty wild. And Harbaugh, I assume, gets one more run at this thing, for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years, however long he wants to do it. And then he can retire into the front office and they'll bring somebody else in to run the show. But we got one more stretch here where we should be able to get over the mountaintop. So you look at the Jacksonville situation and you're just like, well, at least it's good to be a Ravens fan. But all right, that's my coaching rant for this morning. Maryland wins. Hope you guys have a great day. And I'll pop one here either tomorrow or Saturday and get these college basketball games out for you guys. Yeah, have a good day. If you need me, get in touch, and I'll talk to you guys soon.